why can't I find good employees in Canada? That's a question we get a lot. Click here the subscribe button, set up the alert. If this video is useful for you, let us know by clicking the like button. So here's one thing I hear a lot from business owners and business leaders in Canada, especially people that operate smaller businesses, right? They say, well, I'm really disappointed. I hired these people, I hired this person, they looked fine on paper, they did well in the interview, but then day-to-day just became a nightmare, right? There's a totally mismatch here, right? They don't do what they should be doing, but then they keep doing what they should not be doing, trying to show initiative in the wrong direction, and it's just a disaster. They don't seem to listen to me. I explain the thing several times and I have to re-explain, and they don't do what I already corrected them before. Like, what's happening here, right? Is there like a detachment? Is there like a demotivation? Is that a intelligence, attention problem? Like, what's happening? What's wrong with that? These are the questions I typically hear. And what I have to say about that is possibly none of these is the problem. Okay, so let's look at what the problem probably is here. We have a large gap here between the two sides, right? And who are the sides? The employer and the employee, right? So we may be looking first at a generational gap, right? Typically bosses, either they are, I don't know, my age, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, right? But there is a generational gap. And typically when people like me were growing up, right, we were told in terms of work, what we needed to do was a very straight line, right? You get good grades, and then you get a good degree, and you get a good job at a good company. And that was it. That's what the work world seemed to be back in the day, like 20, 30 years ago. Now, not only for the new generations that came to the job market more recently, but also for people my age who have been affected during this period of changes, there's all sorts of different things going on, right? There is a gig economy where people work on a project basis, on a part-time basis, without that certainty and that long-term stability that we were taught growing up that should exist. There's a high turnover, people leave jobs more quickly, right? And there's a whole industry in media and social media about startups. Back in the day when I graduated, either you would get a job or you would go to graduate school, job usually at a big company, or go to graduate school to do a master's. But now, you know, more recently in the last 10, 15, 20 years, there's a lot of people that go to be founders of startups or work for a startup, and then that startup doesn't make it after 2 years. They jump to another startup and then keep going like this. There's a whole culture around startups, and especially driven by personalities of founders that did very well, right? And all these people have been observing this and like in a culture that's very different than the culture of get a good job, do a good job at a good firm, and you're going to be taken care of in your retirement age. The other thing too is that there are other multiple roles in society these days. Like nobody back in the day was thinking about, okay, what's good for the planet, and do we have enough diversity, or is this really the right way to do it? What's the social impact of what we're doing? Like these concepts came more recently in the last, 10, 15 years, very strongly, and they changed, but the wiring of the brains didn't change accordingly. So we still have leadership expecting from people to behave as in they were in the world of good grades, good degree, and good job, right? And people are thinking, okay, but what about the contribution? What's this doing to the environment? And what is the purpose in what we're doing? And all this kind of stuff. And people are like, no, just do your job and get paid, right? So there is this gap of generational gap. In addition to the generational gap, in a country like Canada, where a large proportion of the population was not born and raised here, so both employers and employees, right? We may have a background gap as well, where, and this could go both ways, both the employer or the employee that I'm talking about here. But you have people that are used to having a lot of resources available to them. And once the resources are there, they go there and they perform, and clarity of what they should be doing. And other people that were born and raised without resources at all, having to be resourceful and have to be creative and have to improvise and all sorts of things. So this kind of clash between having the resources or being resourceful, it creates all sorts of misalignment in what I call here background gap. So there's also an interesting thing that people don't talk about this much, but it's very real, like fear of looking bad, right? Some people just don't care about it. They say, yeah, you should learn from your mistakes. If you made a mistake, you move on, and then that's how you improve. And other people are terrified because, oh, God forbids I made a mistake. They were used to having a very narrow path where they should pass, and if they didn't pass that narrow bridge, they would fall off the cliff or something like that, right? So they're terrified of somebody saying, oh, you made a mistake here. No, it has to be right? And so don't underestimate that cultural background clash between somebody who is afraid of making mistakes and somebody who thinks making mistakes is part of the natural course of things, right? And so not caring about how things look, it's another one. Some people just don't care. Say, yeah, get it done, I don't care. The other one is like, no, it has to look the right way. Has to. So, and again, this can go both ways, the employer or the employee. So I'm just discussing here all sorts of gaps that may exist that people don't necessarily pay attention, because people tend to have a very naive view that, oh yeah, I hired somebody, their skill set was in their resume and they should be performing now. So what's happening? So it looks like it's some kind of like a miracle that's happening, or something that is very intangible. No, it's very tangible. We're just not looking at the right factors, right? Okay, so if all sounds very complicated here, there's good news. We have our Your Business in Canada platform, right? So you can come on board and we will help you, we'll guide you together with a group of other business people towards your success here in Canada, okay? But let's look, how do we solve this problem of I'm hiring the wrong people, I can't find the good people in Canada? That's not the case. So what is the case? What can we do? Okay, let's look. It's very simple, right? It's not easy to do, but it's not complicated. It's very simple. What's probably going on here is that first, there is misalignment of interest. So in other words, why people care is different, right? And again, it's beyond money. Money is a part of it. Oh yeah, they should care because they're getting their paycheck. Sure. That's part of it. But people live in a society now where things go beyond money. People want to know why what they do matters. Why do things matter? Why should I care? Because if I'm not going to care, I'm going to be sloppy in my job. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to put the same effort to learn and all this kind of stuff, right? If I get hired from this minimum wage job, I can get the other minimum wage job, or some other opportunity shows up that's 5 minutes close to my house. I'm going to leave this one and move to the other one. So everybody who runs a business knows that a committed employee is way better for the results, right? And people are committed. Yes, part of it is their character, but the other part of it is like they believe that what they do is aligned with what the company is doing. So there's an alignment of purpose. Why do things matter? Is there an alignment of interest? The other thing, which it's even hard for me to say because I started my career as a mechanical engineer, so like very structured way of thinking. People are not pieces of machinery. They're not a cog in the great scheme of things. They don't perform always the same way. It's not a parameter in your process, in your system. People have feelings, people have interests, people have blind spots, people have bad days and good days, and sometimes they excel, they go way above their own capacities, their capabilities, and deliver and over-deliver and all that. So what we know is that motivation drives behavior, and behavior drives results. So motivation ends up driving results. So motivated employees will give you better results. Not rocket science. Everybody knows and agrees with what I'm saying here probably. But it's funny that we know this, but we forget to do this on a day-to-day basis, right? So then what do we do? What can we do? And I came here with 3 quick things that we can do. Not quick, but 3 simple things we should be doing. First, the onboarding, when we're bringing somebody new to the business, has to be structured. People need to understand, and we need to make it even part of the interview. Like, are they coming to join the mission? do they care? Do I care about what we do? And why do I care? Why do our colleagues care? Why do our clients care? Our suppliers care? Our community? Like, what is the purpose? Why what we do matters? Why does it matter? If people understand that, they say, oh yeah, that's kind of cool what you're doing. Yeah, it would be cool to be part of that. You're going to have a more motivated employee, driving better results, right? But that has to be part of a structured onboarding. People need to take the time to understand. It's not just, oh yeah, you're hired to do this task, boom, right? And throw them there and they're like, okay, I can do this in another place. And if somebody offers them 5,000 more per year, they're going to jump ship and go to the other one, right? But like, if they feel they're part of a mission, they're going to think twice. They're going to say, well, you know what we're doing here is different. This really matters. And that's how you build a great team and you achieve great performance. That's a secret sauce of any business, right? Is the sense of collective mission that these people have, and culture. That is something that you as a business owner, you can drive, create, implement, and maintain this culture, right? And the right culture attracts the right people, and the right people give you even better performance, right? So it's a structured onboarding is part of it, but it doesn't stop there. You need to have clear growth and performance expectations. You cannot hire somebody who is kind of shy and prefers to do something steady every day and give them aggressive growth targets, right? Because they're not going to work. Or you cannot hire somebody who's very hungry for growth and put them in a place where things are going to be flat for 2-3 years. That's not going to work. And here's the trick. Sometimes people communicate in a way that they say, well, but I already told them 10 times. How more clear can I be? I don't know what's wrong with them. Well, there is what we say and there's what people listen. And these usually are not the same thing, right? So if we are onboarding an employee and we're telling them certain things, it doesn't hurt asking, right? Yeah, listen, from what we're saying here, what would you mind, like, what did you get from it? What are you, it's not a test, right? It's like, just want to know what you're absorbing. And let them tell you on their own words, what is their understanding of the expectation for performance and for growth, right? Because when everybody's on the same page, things happen way better, right? And then that's the second thing, clear growth and performance expectations. The third thing here, it's really necessary to nurture a relationship to maintain this alignment. Guess what? Because people change, things change, people get married, get divorced, they get sick, they have kids. The company goes through growth phases, goes through cost-cutting phases. So like the business is dynamic and people's lives are dynamic. So something that may be very aligned in a certain point in time, suddenly it's not aligned anymore because either one side or the other changed. So it's very important to nurture that relationship so that when things are changing, either there's a point where, well, you know what, this alignment doesn't exist anymore and it's not going to happen. So wish you all the best. And the person goes to the other place, or they say, hey, thank you for the opportunity, it's great, but now it's time for me to do something else. It's okay. That happens sometimes. You know what? People graduate. It's like having children that became adult and leave the house. No, they don't stop loving you because of this. So like an employee that reaches a point in their career that maybe they move on to do something else, because it's not aligned and what they want to do is not available anymore in your environment, that is okay. But if they performed 100% during the period they were with you, they're going to tell other people this is a great place to work. And that's how you keep having people aligned at all the time. It's okay. Misalignments are going to happen. And that's how, you know, there is this renewal of people in the business too. But at every point in time, it's important to have alignment with the employees, right? So it's not like we cannot find good people to work in Canada. Is because how much attention is being paid to alignment of goals and purpose and day-to-day and goals, right? So here are 2 other videos about this topic that will be useful for you.